Instead of saying, do I want to do this or don't I? You have to ask yourself this question when you come to a decision moment in your life and say, am I going to make a decision right now that's going to keep me stuck where I'm at?
Okay.
Or am I going to make a decision that's going to serve this future version of myself that I'm going to be proud of to me? Do I want to stay stuck where I'm at with this decision, or do I want to make a decision that's going to move me towards a future version of myself I want to be?
Hey, what's up, everybody? I am here with John Mollura. He went from being a literal rocket scientist supporting NASA test operations to coaching high performers through their fear, perfectionism, and procrastination. A personal tragedy and a powerful faith transformation led him to create elite level action, a science-backed framework to help others break free and take bold, lasting action. Welcome, John. Glad you're here.
It is so nice to be here. I'm glad we finally made this happen, Brian.
Awesome. How did your faith transformation lead you into developing your elite level action framework?
Oh man, that has been a story being written for probably the past 16 or 17 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know we don't have that much time, so I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. And for I don't know how younger listeners out there, Reader's Digest is a magazine that used to have summaries in it. So we'll summarize it. So I graduated college, mechanical engineering degree in 2000, and ended up working for a NASA contractor, leading test operations, and fell into that job because I taught rock climbing, because I lost an internship at Disney, right? So
okay.
These cascading things, like you never know how things are going to end up. And, the guy who hired me was former special forces in Vietnam, saw my resume. I was the director of rock climbing and said, hey, here's someone who's not just an egghead, but I can also send them out in the field and not get himself or my team, or he said, more importantly, me killed.
Okay.
So that's how I wound up there. No one was more surprised that I was, involved in space missions. I started working right away on the Mars exploration rovers. We did the testing for them, make sure we didn't crash these, bajillion-dollar robots into another planet. That's frowned upon.
Yeah.
So our job was to make sure that did not happen. So for years, we tested these airbags until everything finally launched in 2003. Meanwhile, throughout this progression, I rose very quickly through the ranks. And as I was climbing the ladder and got married and, we started a family, as my career was literally taking off like a rocket.
Yep.
I was completely falling apart on the inside.
Okay.
And thought, well, certainly the cure to fix this is to just do more difficult projects and missions. And,
why would you not?
If I get bonus points if they're potentially hazardous too. Like if there's a
Okay.
chance that I might get maimed or killed, then maybe I'll feel like I'm enough. Right. So, spoiler alert, none of those things worked.
Shocking.
Yeah, I know. Shocking. If anything, it just built this house of cards up higher that I felt like I was on. Because I felt like, man, I was like one mistake away from just losing just everything. And, we talk about imposter syndrome now. That's not something we talked about 20 years ago. No one really knew what it was, especially in a paramilitary-esque, machismo-driven environment.
Yeah.
So here I was, trying to give myself self-worth, from my past trials, traumas, and tragedies I had endured. And it eventually came to a head in 2009. And up until 2009, since I graduated Catholic high school, I was not only not religious, but I became like anti-religion.
Okay.
Right? Didn't matter if you're a Christian, Jew, Muslim. Didn't matter. I would say to people like, what, are you too weak to do life? Without a crutch of a God. Like I would say things like that. So I really resonate a lot with the Apostle Paul's story.
Okay. Yeah.
Granted, I wasn't signing anyone's physical death warrants like Apostle Paul did, but emotionally, like I would lash out at people like that. And it all came to a head in 2009. Here I was just against religion, trying to, give myself value from the world. And it was a 1-2 punch that happened pretty quickly. We had our first kid, which, is normally like a super joyous occasion. However, when you have this intense belief that you're destined to disappoint the people that depend on you, that was causing like a huge anxiety
Okay.
Right? So that was the first thing that really knocked me off kilter. And then a couple months after that, one of my best childhood friends who I looked up to like an older brother took his own life in an intentional overdose. And that just, it wrecked me. Like I didn't know what to do. My coping mechanisms that I had at the time were not working, which I'm sure you could guess were not healthy coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
So like I can just remember a couple months after we lost him, just standing alone in the house and thinking like, I don't know how to go on. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should. Maybe he had it right by checking out. So I came to realize now it was the Holy Spirit speaking life into me in that moment, because remember, I hadn't prayed in 12, 15 years, whatever it was. But the Serenity Prayer just popped right in my head.
Okay.
Like I'd probably seen it on a coffee mug and laughed at it. Okay. But it got downloaded right into my head as I'm just standing there contemplating like what to do. And if anyone's unfamiliar with the Serenity Prayer, it's, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And once I said the end of the prayer, Bryan, like I had a physical sensation come over me from head to toe, like this warm sensation. And I was like, uh-oh. I've either just like cracked up totally and like lost my mind, or maybe there's something to this God thing. Okay. And that day in the summer of 2009 is when, the proverbial scales started falling from my eyes.
Okay.
And, as they say, before God can do work through you, he's got to do a lot of work in you. And there was a lot of work to be done in me.
Sure.
Yeah. So that began this journey of like intense introspection and seeing like how I was defending myself because I just had such feelings of unworthiness, and starting to really learn about like the love of Jesus, because my upbringing was religion was used to control me.
Okay. Yeah.
And just make me feel bad about myself. And you walk out of church, with your head hanging down going, man, I suck. So when I finally started getting into the Bible and having some great mentors teach me, and pastors, we started going to church and found a life-giving church for us. I was like, wow, like you don't have to leave church and feel bad about yourself. Like this is crazy talk.
Yeah.
So that just led on intense introspection. And in the meantime, like as I'm like finally getting myself sorted out, like back to the person God designed me to be.
Okay.
Things at the company I was at started going downhill.
Oh, okay.
Like venture capitalists came in. It totally shifted the vibe and the energy and the leadership of the company. And the punchline was I decided to leave corporate engineering in 2017 and turn my side hustle photography into my full-time gig.
Got it. Yeah.
And have just been walking that path, and then was led to coaching and speaking probably about 3.5 years ago now at this point, and started making the transition into that. And so the Elite Action Framework, to answer your original question.
Yeah. Tell us about the Elite Action Framework.
Right. So what that is all about understanding like where you're getting stuck, because, you and I are both athletes, and, you're a science background as well. And as we know, like elite performers, whether it's athletics, education, whatever you're doing, the difference between average and elite, it's not what we do. We do the same things. It's just the standards we hold ourselves to.
Yeah. Yep.
So Elite Action is all about like, how do you get yourself in the mindset and get aware of what is keeping you held back? And how do we shift from a posture of judging ourselves by what's holding us back into getting curious about it and coming up with solutions? So that's what the Elite Action Framework is all about.
Okay. Awesome. I usually talk about fitness. And so did your fitness routine come out of your personal tragedy, or have you always taken care of yourself physically? And I mean, we can talk about mentally and spiritually and emotionally, and it sounds like that wasn't being taken care of.
None of them were.
Yeah. None of them were. Yeah. So what was that process like for you?
Yeah. So what that process, and it started around the same time, the genesis of me getting my health on track, because for better or worse, I'm blessed with good genetics. So I never had to work really hard at taking great care of myself, which, you and I sound like we're about in the same age bracket, on the downward side of 40, approaching 50, if we're not already there yet. But one of the first pictures I saw when I was holding my first child, I was 30 at the time, I think.
Okay.
I had this like spare tire around my stomach.
Yep.
I'm like, what the heck is that?
We call that a mirror moment. So whether we're looking at a picture or we've walked by the mirror and glanced into the mirror, we call that the quote unquote mirror moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was mine, and it wasn't pleasant. So, I started running and just trying to, not like a 16-year-old, and, just started getting my health on track with that, and was able to shed weight, learn some things about my body, like why some things had been hurting most of my life. And I thought it was just, poor treatment and contact sports.
Yep.
But it turns
we
out
have these excuses.
Yeah. So I was born with very extreme club foot, and so my right foot was turned in like 90 degrees and the left was about 45. So this was back in the late 70s. So they corrected it with casts, and doing all sorts of things to my Achilles tendon. So when I was born, they told my parents, your son will probably be able to walk, but athletics are going to be out of the question. Well, my parents never told me athletics were out of the question. So
good for them.
Yeah. So they would just do the exercises with me. I don't even know how many surgeries I had till I was like 3 years old, and became an athlete. Like I played ice hockey. I was a skier, snowboarder, and so when I started running, when I was in my early 30s, to start shedding this weight, because I think I weighed like 210 pounds.
Okay.
Like
how tall are you?
5'10" frame.
Okay. Yeah. 5'10", 210. It's not a good combination. Okay.
And, are you there, Brian?
Yep. We're good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The connection broke up, so maybe we need to get that out. But yeah, so I found myself here. I was like 210 pounds. I was like 5'10" frame, like not super big. And when I started running, my knee started hurting on one side. Went to a podiatrist, or went and got running shoes. Like first time I ever bought like nice running shoes. They put me on the treadmill, videotaped me, and they're like, man, your gait is totally jacked up. They said, if you had any injuries, told them all about the club foot. Came to find out, my right leg is almost a half inch shorter than my left leg.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty typical.
Yeah. So then, got the custom orthotics, got a podiatrist who was a runner, who wasn't going to keep me in the game. So that started my health journey in earnest.
Awesome.
And and then, started martial arts as an adult a couple years later. So I think I was 34 when I started training in Ishinryu karate, trained for 10 years until my sensei retired, earned my 3rd-degree black belt. My wife earned her black belt, also started when she was in her 30s.
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah. So my health journey really didn't start until, in my 30s. And since then, I've just continued to ramp it up to the point now where I lead a men's fitness group. It's a worldwide group called F3, Fitness, Fellowship, and Faith. It was started by a former Special Forces operator who realized men need community with other men. And what better way than to get in tight with other men than to give them something hard and physical to do?
Okay.
So that's what that's all about. I've gotten into Spartan races recently. So wish I'd started earlier when my body was able to, heal quicker. But, as I say, like I'm just thankful to be able to move like I can, especially how I treated myself when I was younger.
Yeah. Yeah. What does your morning routine look like? It sounds like you started dialing some things in.
Yeah. So morning routine, before I do anything, I'm very intentional with my time and my energy and my values. And that's part of what's built into the Elite Action framework. That's the structure pillar that we have out of the 6 pillars. And it's about being intentional with your time, your energy, and your focus, and what you're putting in. So right away, like I always say, like a good morning routine starts the night before. right?
Absolutely. That was going to be my follow-up
Yeah.
question was what's your nighttime routine? But if you
Like,
want to just knock those both
yeah.
out, that'd be
Yeah.
great.
So that starts the night before. So I try to get to bed, like 10:30. We got 3 teenagers that we're trying to get everywhere. So
Okay.
sometimes we're not getting home till like
Yep.
9. But
Understood. How old are
yeah,
they?
we have 12-year-old, 14-year-old, and 17-year-olds.
Okay. Yep.
So
Understood. Mine are
yeah,
19, 17. So my two oldest can drive, right? And so
yeah,
my life completely changed when
right.
the middle one turned 16.
Nice. Yeah. So our oldest one can drive and went and picked her sister up when she got back from a cross country meet at like almost like midnight on Saturday.
Yep. Yep.
Super
Understood.
duper. So yeah. So I try to be very intentional about going to bed. And that also goes with how I have my phone set up. So I'm not like a huge tech guy, but like I try to use tech and use it to suit my life. So I have it set to go where no one can get through to me except like my wife, my kids, my parents, my 2 best friends who, like, if they're calling me in the middle of the night, it's like, do we need bullets or shovels? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Those kind of
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
So I have my phone set up that it shuts down at like 9 p.m.
Okay.
And I say that because when I wake up in the morning, like there's no alerts waiting for me overnight from my business, from social media. Like, so my morning routine is I don't turn any of that stuff on until, I do my daily devotions, read the Bible. I read Billy Graham's like devotional thing. He's got like a short, like a little 1-page thing app.
Okay.
It's fantastic. So before I do anything, like that's what I do. And then go into
What time are you waking up?
So if it's not an F3 workout morning, because our workouts for F3, that men's fitness group, they start at 5:15 a.m. And we call it meeting in the gloom because that's what it is. But normally I wake up around 5:30 to 6.
Okay.
So, read the Bible, do my devotional apps, and then I try to get add a minimum of at least 10 minutes of yoga.
Okay. And you're doing that inside or outside?
So I do it mostly outside unless it's like frigid.
Sure.
I have a little spot on my deck that, again, I've been intentional about that I keep my yoga mat there. So there's, you minimize the excuses, right? It's like, we don't know where my stuff is. I don't know where my blocks are. It's like, no, John, they're same spot every day. Go get them. So I do it outside, and shout out to Yoga with Tim or Sarah Beth Yoga on YouTube. They're my yogis. And then get in about 6 to 12 minutes of meditation, like just sitting there after the yoga practice, just to practice bringing myself back to center.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's what the morning routine looks like. And then it's the, getting everybody where they need to go.
Understood. What does breakfast look like for you?
Yeah. So I'm not a huge breakfast food fan.
Okay.
Right. So I usually keep it pretty light in the morning. A lot of protein, big oatmeal.
Yep.
Person. And then I'll have a snack probably around like 10 a.m., like an apple or something, maybe a scoop of hummus or some peanut butter until I get to lunch.
Okay. And what do you, so lunch is you've broken your fast earlier in the day, but is lunch kind of your first big meal of the day?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And
what does lunch look like?
Well, so I work from home and I love it. So
okay.
A lot of times that like break from like noon to 1. And again, I'm intentional with my time. Like I block out noon to 1.
Gotcha.
So that way, like I can just kind of collect myself, get a midday kind of refocus, because any heavy lifting I need to do, like if I'm doing new content or, shooting videos, things like that, like I do all that in the morning, because once we get towards the afternoon, like that's when you clear out the inbox and do that, at least for me.
Okay.
So noon to 1, I usually make do a lot of soups because I'm usually, cleaning out the fridge of all the leftovers.
Okay. That's what a dad does. It's his dad's job to finish out whatever needs to be cleaned out. Right. Understood.
It's like Iron Chef.
Yep. You love it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like I got some leftover black beans, some, spicy pickles. All right, well, let's make some magic here. And, so that's what lunch looks like. And then dinner, again, try to be very intentional about that. So plan the meals ahead, like on a Sunday.
Gotcha. So are you meal prepping on Sunday?
I've gotten to the point where I don't need to meal prep. It's
Okay.
more like I make sure I have the ingredients on hand.
Gotcha. Yep.
And, so it's like, all right, when do we have a sports event, or like I'm doing 2 speaking events, like 2 nights, and then we got a cross country meet thrown in there.
Okay.
Like, all right, which night's a crock pot night? And I'm a total nerd. So it's like, especially now that the temperatures are getting cool, it's like, when it starts getting cold and rainy, it's like, all right, that's a soup night in the crock pot. So again, try to be very intentional, set myself up for success. That's what I tell a lot of my one-on-one coaching clients. Like, what can we do to set you up for success? Like, because a lot of people think like, whatever it is, business, health, just day-to-day decisions, I'm going to rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, no, you're not.
No.
You're going to fall to your level of training.
Okay. I call it fall to your structure.
There you go.
And that's but exactly what you just said, right? You're not gonna rise to the occasion. You're gonna fall down to the structure you've laid out for yourself, which is the pots and pans that are either already out, or the food that's in your fridge, or ready to go that you could see. That's what you're going to end up eating. Or if none of that's set up, then you're going to fall to the Wendy's or the McDonald's that's down the street, right? And now we're headed down the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
What about your kids? You mentioned you have 3 teens. What are they? People listening to this podcast probably have kids, and this is one of the top questions I get is, how do I get my kids to eat better? And so, how does your life, your family work in that regard?
So parents out there listening, or caretakers of kids, like, you got to set the example. Like, if they hear you talking about, like, stopping, Shipley's Donuts, I know you're down in Texas, and picking up just a bag of kolaches and eating those, and then you don't eat lunch, and they see you, bringing home Chick-fil-A bags and your car's filled with them, like, they're not going to want to eat healthy. So the biggest thing is to model that and explain why, especially like once you get older kids, and also not be so rigid on it. Like, do we eat at Chick-fil-A? Yeah, sure. But it's on, like, that's a last resort.
Okay.
So like, we really try to model the way, explain why. We really, really preach and try to exhibit moderation in everything.
Okay.
Like, it's not like, you open our cupboards and it's all like grass fed, whatever.
Okay.
It's like, there's Cheez-Its in there. There's, there's snacks. There's little mini Mr. Good bars, but we explain the balance and have, especially now that the kids are older.
Okay.
Like, just explain why it's important. And now, like, our youngest daughter is in varsity cross country. And she started varsity cross country as an 8th grader.
Okay.
So she knew she had to really level up. So she really leaned into her nutrition, because I'm like, hey, look,
awesome.
If you're just eating pasta all the time, like, this is what you're missing. And I said, this is what you're missing, and here's how it can affect your school performance and athletic performance. So she, they're getting really dialed in on all that. But it starts with their mother and I.
Yeah. Yeah, that's speaking about kids. So my oldest daughter swims collegiately, and my second daughter, we just spent this past weekend. She's being recruited to play water polo, and and so these conversations, these nutrition conversations, these sleep conversations, these stress reducing conversations become a lot easier for us as parents, because it's like, look, here are the habits and things you can do that will take you this way, away from your goals. Here are the things you can do that will take you this way, toward your goals. Your choice. I'm here to love, guide, and support, but it's your choice on what you want to do. You don't get to make these decisions and then be confused, surprised, or frustrated when you don't get the results you want.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of that goes with putting the responsibility on them. Like, as parents, like, we're here to guide.
Yeah.
It's like, I got a tattoo on my arm. It's Psalm 127 verse 4. Like arrows in the hands of a warrior, so are the children's born in one's youth. And just like, like, when you when you throw an arrow, when you shoot a gun, like, whatever you're doing, once it leaves, it's going wherever you pointed it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really the mentality we've had while raising our kids. It's like, our job is to get them pointed in the right direction, then provide that support as they're making decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. I can tell from your life, I mean, there's lots of things going on, lots of busyness, lots of different responsibilities you have for yourself, for your family, for your kids, for your spouse. How do you manage guilt when prioritizing your own health?
Well, what I look at it as, it's actually not selfish because
Okay.
it enables me to serve them more fully. Because if I'm not going to bed, if I'm not exercising, if I'm not stretching, if I'm not eating, well, like I'm going to be tired, irritable, maybe in poor health and not able to get where I need to go. So there's really no guilt. And again, it comes with setting myself up for success. So it's all about choices. So I could have, told my daughter, sorry, I can't come to your cross country meet because I got to work out today at the time your cross country meet is. Or I can make the decision to get my butt out of bed at 04:30, put my workout clothes on that are already set out. So I don't, again, set myself up for success, get my workout in. So I'm all in and all done by 6 a.m. and be able to go to her cross country meet. So it comes down to, it comes down to my responsibility to make sure I set it up so I don't have to feel guilty.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So as we're starting to wrap up, if you could give our listeners only one action, so you only get only one action to move forward, what do you recommend they do?
Ask themselves a better question.
Okay.
Yeah,
what's that?
I'll give you that question. I'm going to sneak it in. It's kind of a 1-2 part. So a lot of times people say, but I'm already talking. I have the microphone. So you get,
sure.
All right. Sure. So a lot of times people say, do I want to do this or don't I? Right. It's a very natural question. And what do you do if you don't want to do it? What if you don't want to have the critical conversation with someone? What do you do if you don't want to eat better? What do you do if you don't want to wake up and go work out outside at 5 a.m. because it's cold and rainy? So asking yourself whether or not you want to do something that's truly important to you doesn't serve you. So the better question people need to ask, and this first part's uncomfortable, but it's very powerful. Instead of saying, do I want to do this or don't I? You have to ask yourself this question when you come to a decision moment in your life and say, am I going to make a decision right now that's going to keep me stuck where I'm at?
Okay.
Or am I going to make a decision that's going to serve this future version of myself that I'm going to be proud of to meet? Do I want to stay stuck where I'm at with this decision, or do I want to make a decision that's going to move me towards a future version of myself I want to be?
Awesome. That's a great question. Mm-hmm. That's a great question. If people are interested in reaching out to you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, johnmollura.com, JohnMollura is where you will find all things John Mollura, including a contact form there. There is even a place to schedule a free complimentary coaching call, which I always like to offer to people that have hung with us on this interview this long. So if you're listening right now, obviously like something Bryan and I have been talking about has resonated with you. And I would just love to talk to those people and offer them something special, which is an hour-long complimentary coaching call. It's not a sales call. It's not a high-pressure thing. It's truly like I want to help as many people because, as you know, you and I met through Brand Builders Group, as Rory Vaden, one of the founders of that, says, you're best suited to serve the you that you used to be. So I want to find those people that, are along that path, not where I'm at, and figure out how to reach a hand back and help them get where they want to go.
Awesome. Well, thanks, John. Been great getting to know you better and learning more about your path. Really appreciate you coming on.
All right. Thanks, Bryan.
Yep. Thanks. Bye.